Well, hey coaches, I want to thank you so much for your willingness to participate and coach in this spring soccer season. You know, the purpose of our ministry, the sports ministry at First Baptist, is to tell others about the hope that's found in Jesus Christ. If we don't do this, we're just another sports league. But being Christ-centered is what separates us and makes us different from the other sports leagues in our community. As part of your responsibility as a coach, you are asked to spend time each week talking about Jesus and praying with your team. Now, I know some of us don't think we're capable of doing this, so we want to encourage you. Each week, we're going to provide a short video that talks about the devotion for the week to give you some ideas that you can implement during practice. The devotions for this season are all based on the parables of Jesus. If we read scripture, we see that Jesus told a lot of stories, and these were parables. A parable is simply an earthly story with a heavenly meaning. And so in our devotion for this week, I would encourage you to read Luke chapter 12, verses 13 through 21. In this parable, you're going to see Jesus talking about a man who was greedy and not content with anything that he had. Now, we can all probably list off things that we want. So I encourage you to ask your team members, hey, tell me one thing that you want, one thing that you really think you need. A video game, new phone, money, clothes, a new pet. Ask them, hey, what are the things that you want that you think that you have to have? Because in this parable, Jesus tells us about a man who loved stuff. He wanted as much stuff as he could get. He was never satisfied. He was a good farmer. He had more crops than he could store. So he decided to tear down all of his barns and build bigger barns so he could put more crops into it, and then he could just take it easy. The farmer could do anything he wanted with the crops because they were his. The buildings were his. But he never once thought about how he could help other people who didn't have food. He never thought about what God had given him. It's really easy for us to be focused on ourselves and what we want and what we think we need. It's easy to get greedy. It's easy to not share what God has blessed us with. Jesus said that this man was foolish. He may have had a lot in the world, but one day he was going to leave this world and someone else would own all of his possessions, and he would have wasted everything God had given him. This man did not realize the only thing he really needed in life was God, and everything that he had was because God had given it to him. And so I want to remind you, to remind your teams, our relationship with Jesus is more important than anything we can get in this world. More important than iPhones and video games and fame and fortune and money. If we don't have Jesus, we don't have anything. And so here's some questions to ask your 4 and 5-year-olds and 6 and 7-year-olds. Ask them the importance of sharing with others the things they have. Ask them and make sure that they know that Jesus is better than anything else. For your 8 and 9-year-olds and 10 and 11-year-olds, maybe ask them, hey, do you really think this man was greedy? Do you really think he had too much stuff? Is Jesus important to you? And for our 12 and 14-year-old division, what should the rich man have done? Ask them, do you identify with all the stuff you have? Is your identity found in how many followers you have on social media, or how popular you are, or how much money you have? Or do you identify with Jesus? And so I just want to help you and encourage you this week. Pray with your teammates, your team members, pray with them, encourage them, point them to Jesus, and remind them to put Jesus before anything else in their lives. Thanks, guys.